Well, welcome to Experts at EWU. And this is one of the fun times I get to have each month is to talk to some experts at that college campus out at Cheney in downtown Spokane. And it's kind of our university here in the Inland Northwest. And I'm pleased to have, I'm going to read it so I make sure I get it right. Jessica L. Allen, PhD. And you are a PhD in biology, right? Yeah, I remember biology in high school. I didn't go forward with biology. It was too complicated. But what, let's talk first about your background. Where did you go to high school and those kinds of things?
Yeah, it's great to be on the show here today and to chat about some of the work that's going on
Yes.
out at Eastern. And I'm actually an Eastern Washingtonian, so I was born and raised in the Tri-Cities.
Okay,
I
yes.
graduated from Richland High School, and then I earned my undergraduate degree at Eastern Washington University as well. So,
Oh,
yeah, I earned my Bachelor of Science in Biology with a minor in chemistry from Eastern.
okay.
And I actually gone there really to study music, but then really
Music.
fell in love with biology. And
I'm
yeah.
always curious about this because I don't know how many times I've had professors in here and so forth that went to school for one thing, went to a university, and then ended up falling in love with something else and getting excited about it. That happens often, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's I would say one of the purposes of going to college is to be exposed to a much
Explore.
broader variety of disciplines, of
Right.
topics, and to find that passion. You know, a lot of students change majors,
Right, right.
and I guess I was one of them. And not that I love music; I love the music department at Eastern. They're
Yes.
fantastic, and it was more of a being presented with science in such a different way than
Okay.
how it was presented to me in high school.
Okay.
So, as this really open field where there's lots of exploration still to do, there is so much that we don't know. You can bring a lot of creativity to
The
this
challenge is
discipline.
there.
Absolutely, the
Yes.
challenge, the creativity, and I also really love being outside. So I also thought, oh, I get to go out and do field work. So that's fantastic. I get to work outside. I'm challenged intellectually, can bring my creativity to this,
I love it.
and I just fell in love with biology and
Was there a special teacher?
oh, absolutely. Well, of many,
Okay.
but I would say two that really come to mind are Suzanne Schwab, who was the mycology professor, and one of the earliest classes I took from her was all about fungi, and to me, they're the most fascinating organisms on this planet. You know, they're overlooked frequently and underappreciated, but they are amazing. They do so many fantastic things.
Yes.
And I study a subset of fungi, which are lichens. So fungi that form symbioses, these mutualistic relationships with algae and cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. And so yeah, Suzanne Schwab for sure, Robin O'Quinn, who's another botanist at Eastern, and many, many others.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have time to list all of
I
them.
know, and if you try to, that's you'll leave the one out that just when you get home, you'll go, yeah, yeah, I did that. I hear that so often when we have people in here. My daughter graduated from both a degree, a bachelor's and then a master's degree at Eastern. So it's
That's
it's in
awesome.
the family, if you
Yeah.
will. And I know so many people. And East, one of the things I like about this is I'm learning new stuff. Okay, I have at age now 76 become a learner. I wasn't great in high school and college, okay, and you've come across people, I'm sure that friends that are like that and so forth. I love it now. I learn new things, and one of the things is when I have the experts on from EWU, there's just new stuff to learn, and new things that EWU is doing. And so, what are some of the projects that you're involved in right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I have quite a few projects going. I'll just pick some highlights.
How come I figured that?
Well, professors, we like to keep busy
Yeah.
and also continue learning. That's one of my favorite things about my
Good.
job. I get to learn something new every day
Yes.
too. So some of the projects I have going now are a really large National Science Foundation funded grant that is in collaboration with scientists at the New York Botanical Garden.
Oh, wow.
And we are working on understanding basically trying to figure out why different species live where they live.
Oh, okay.
And why some species are very rare and others are very common. Some species are found all over the planet. Others have, maybe they're found in like a 20 square mile radius. Why
Right,
is that?
right.
Why is that? And we're looking specifically at lichens. So these fabulous symbiotic fungi, and asking questions about, what are the main drivers of those, what we would call distributions of
Yeah.
species. And so looking at human impacts, things like logging or air pollution, we're looking at the kind of reproductive biology of the organisms. And then to me, one of the most fascinating aspects of this is trying to understand how that relationship between the fungus and the alga plays into that. So does it have to do with how specific that relationship is? Or is it, do species with really broad distributions like associate with a whole bunch of different symbionts? And with the small ranges, maybe they have very specific symbionts. So taking all of these factors together and trying to tease apart how much each one of those influences that final distribution.
Yeah.
And so the part of this project that we're really leading at Eastern is the genomics. So we're sequencing whole genomes of a whole bunch of lichens, thousands of lichen individuals. The students, I have a lot of students involved in this project out at Eastern. It's become quite the team effort.
Do
to
they
this
get
done.
into it?
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Yes.
we're going out in the field and we're doing a whole bunch of lab work, analyzing the data, and we're at the point where we're starting to get some of the data back, and
Oh,
we're
okay.
starting to find those patterns. So we're really leading in the genomics part of this, which is some of the main focus of my lab is on fungal genomics. So trying to better understand the genes and the genome of fungi. And then the other aspect of the main work that goes on in my lab is focused on fungal conservation. So I co-lead the lichen specialist group for the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. And our main work is really trying to figure out what species of lichens on this planet, of which there are over 20,000, which ones are endangered, critically endangered,
Right.
which ones are already extinct, and actually gather all of those data and include it in the red list. So the global red list, which includes organisms like pandas and elephants, and
Right.
all of these large organisms that we kind of tend
Some
to
of the
think
common
of.
things we think about.
Exactly,
Right.
when we're thinking about conservation, and we're looking at the little things, and we're trying to bring them to the forefront too, and get them the recognition they deserve, because fungi and lichens specifically serve so many functions in ecosystems. Right?
We don't
So-
understand that as a public at all, do we? And you're probably really starting to understand as you learn more and so forth. But we normal, everyday people don't think about that and what impact it has on us. We don't see it. We don't feel it necessarily.
Yeah, I absolutely. They're, fungi in general are kind of these hidden, really like drivers of
Yes.
ecosystem functioning. They do so many things. And because, on our human scale with our naked eye, we tend to not see them
Right.
very often, or maybe they're around us, we just don't notice them. They tend to be underappreciated. But, if we think about forest ecosystems, mycorrhizal fungi, those fungi
Okay.
that are attached to all of the tree roots, shuttling nutrients around the forests. And when we think about lichens specifically,
Gee.
they're really important. They're food for...
Never would have thought of all that.
Absolutely. And, lichens specifically are a really important food source for a lot of animals, especially in the winter.
Okay,
And
yeah.
animals like the mountain caribou, which are now no longer live in the Selkirk Mountains here in the United States. And likely part of that loss of that animal here was because of the decline in lichen biomass in the region.
Wow.
So, yeah, so, and birds use them for nesting material all the time, especially hummingbirds, which is always lovely to see. You know, they're
Yes.
really important in soil stabilization in our more arid regions. So, you know, if you're out
Never
in the
would have thought of that.
yeah, if you're out in the shrub steppe, I recommend slowing down, looking at
Yeah.
the soil, looking around the sagebrush, and you'll start to see them all over there. So, and that's I guess for anybody who's listening to this, my one takeaway is to just like slow down and look for the lichens because they are all around you. Even if you're right downtown here in Spokane and Riverside Park, if you're up in Manitou, or if you're in a more natural area, lichens are everywhere around here, and it just takes slowing down, looking at them, and even better is if you have like a jeweler's loupe or a little hand lens, a little bit of magnification,
Okay.
then the magic happens because they are absolutely gorgeous organisms
Wow.
if you take a closer look.
Oh, it's amazing when you start to think about this. And I know I've seen articles and things on, you know, things that crawl on our face and all of the other, and I'm going, okay, but they're so small, we don't know that.
Yeah.
And that there's a whole world there. And you're into that world, and you get to see and magnify them. And that must be absolutely fascinating.
Oh, absolutely. And it's, I like to say that lichens really sit at the fulcrum of the macroscopic and the microscopic world.
Okay.
Because we can see them with our naked eye.
Wow.
But once you look closer, you see that they're even more complicated than we ever imagined. And once you're looking under like a compound microscope, what you'll see is that it's not just that fungus and the alga. There are tons of bacteria in there. There are tiny worms called nematodes, water bears. It's like a whole micro ecosystem in each lichen. They're just bustling with diversity.
I've got your resume here, and I highlighted one thing because I found this kind of fascinating in terms of your research and so forth with the Swiss Federal Institute of Forest, Snow, and Landscape Research in Switzerland. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so after...
Did you get to go there?
I did. I lived there
Oh,
for
wow.
a year. And I earned my PhD at the New York Botanical Garden and
Okay.
the City University of New York, so in New York City. And then after that, I did some postdoctoral research at the Swiss Federal Institute for Forest, Snow, and Landscape Research with Dr. Christoph Scheidegger there. And his research group focuses on conservation genetics and lichens and population genetics and lichens. And so there I worked with him on a few different projects. One of them was actually looking at the lungwort lichen in North America and its genetics. And then the other project was actually really cool, really relevant to our region. So in Switzerland, you know, the headwaters of almost all of the major rivers in Europe are in Switzerland in the Alps.
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of their rivers are dammed, and they were working on removing dams from some rivers. And I was part of a really large team of people that were figuring out how to do that. So how to do that while keeping people safe, while restoring the rivers to their natural flooding regimes, while restoring the biodiversity. And so it was this.
There's
really
no
big-
simple answer, is there?
It's very complicated. It
Yeah.
is. It's very challenging to take out a dam. And so it was interesting to see how they went about it very meticulously, carefully. It was great to work with them and learn from engineers on that project, as well as biologists and land managers. It was very cool. And I'm really grateful to have had that
if you do
experience.
X over here, it affects Y and Z and so forth. And
Absolutely.
there's no simple answer. So here we are in August, running into September. School starts in what, 3 or 4 weeks? Something like.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to that?
I absolutely am. So because I'm so excited about this, I'm teaching a field course this fall that goes along with my National Science Foundation grant where I'm taking a whole class of students to West Virginia for a week.
Oh,
Yeah, to
my
study
gosh.
lichens in Elkins, West Virginia, right in the heart of the Appalachians. So this project is focused on the Central Appalachian Mountains, and I'm.
Will you
really-
take some pictures and send to us?
Oh, absolutely. I'd be happy
Okay,
to.
yes.
Yeah.
Maybe have you back and,
Okay.
and talk about it. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and I'm super excited for this, and Especially because for me, I love teaching and taking field courses. To
Okay,
me,
sure.
these like immersive classes where you get to go somewhere and be out in nature and explore a different region to learn about the biodiversity there, like those are the best for me. So I'm very excited to be able to do this with our students here at Eastern.
I'm going to guess that you get excited when you see a student get excited and learn something new. I can see that in you. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of
Yeah,
the
that's
best parts of
that's-
this job is
yes.
like that shared enthusiasm.
She got it over
and-
there. All right.
And the
you know?
discovery and, it's that wonder at the world and
Yes.
like that kind of exploration and, seeing these new perspectives in
Right.
the world. Absolutely.
Right. Jessica Allen, PhD at EWU. Great job. Thank you for coming in. One of these days, I might come out and sit in your class just to learn something.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome.
If you can keep it real simple, okay?
I'll try my
okay.
best.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much for
Thank
having
you,
me.
Jessica.
Yeah, that was
Thank
a
you very
pleasure.
much. Thanks for watching.
At Eastern Washington University, biologists are harnessing gut microbes to build stronger bees. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And geology joins forces with robotics to explore innovative solutions for climate change. An interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world, that's the new thing. It isn't a tagline, it's a philosophy wrapped in red and white. It is Eastern Washington and you.